Whoa, whoa, whoa. Quack, quack, quack. Hello, everybody. It is I once again. Welcome to the Going Over podcast. I am one of your co hosts, your neighborhood friendly coach, trainer, promoter, 43-year-old professional wrestler, Zack. Prime time. Reeb, and I'm joined alongside my podcast partner, as always, the 7-foot wrecking ball, Paul Isadora. And Paul, I'm tired as shit, but what a night. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, man. Just excited to get on the phone with you this morning. It was just, you know, you got the chants echoing through the arena. Send that link. Send that link. Yeah, so it was just yeah, excited to hear what's going on, man. It's early, but and you on the last podcast, I feel like you were talking about how tired you were after, a show and a training and a meeting and all this stuff. But apparently, we're just gluttons for punishment because we just keep doing it, man. We keep going out and putting on events. We pack up the trailer, get home late, get up early, and just do it all over again, man. We can't get enough for some reason.
This one ran smooth. And the thing is, I'm now 7 days, 1 week removed from the imprisonment of nicotine. Oh God, I need this to talk to people. I need this when I drive. I'm at the venue. I'm bored waiting. I need this. I have to go out and do this. I've been running. My wind is up. I actually, after a week, got in the ring and moved very well. Wasn't bloated. There was one time I felt a little bit of the wind kick in, but it was nothing I couldn't recover from. So, you know, some health scares lately. I don't want to, I'm blessed with my health. You're blessed with your health. It could all end tomorrow. So I just wanted to make sure that, why am I doing this to myself? It becomes habit and forming and boring because I'm not depressed. I'm happy. This is the best I've ever been in my life. So might as well just, keep tackling challenges and taking things on. And man, last night, oh brother, I feel like we came up to bat 7 times and hit 7 home runs, maybe a double here and there, but I feel like we went 7 for 7 last night. Red Bluff, Extreme Aftermath. It was night 2 of Extreme Measures, and it felt like night 2 was just way better than night 1.
Right. Well, that's awesome, man. It was great to hear that. I feel like some of the things, went wrong. You weren't, super excited about some of the matches and stuff like that, and and then we, last week we were here, and again, we had some things that we were like, oh, I wasn't super happy with that. This is what I would change. But uh, just a testament to what you're doing at your school by, taking those negatives and just turning them around, making them positives and refocus on the things that we need to work on. And I feel like I'm trying to take that example and put it into play here at our school as well. So, we're things that I didn't like from our show. It was, I think I talked about guys getting thrown out of the Rumble and no selling on the way back, right? So it's like, well, that's not going to happen again because we're just going to beat it into them that that's not the way it works. You get hit with something, you got to sell it. You can't make the guy's offense look weak. You can't you can't make yourself look like a Superman because that's not the way that you build sympathy, right? So I don't know. I feel like this is the whole purpose of the podcast, right? This is a learning thing, right? We're trying to help guys learn, and it's just I don't know, man. I feel like some of the issues that I had with people not coming to the show last time, we're kind of like, I watched some videos last night, and I was like, maybe we dodged a bullet with some of the guys that didn't come. It's like you watch some videos and you go, oh, I was going to give that guy a shot, and maybe they weren't ready to have a shot. Watching videos. So I don't know, man. I feel like everything happens for a reason, and um, we just got to kind of stay the course and do what we're doing, and keep going.
Well, it's a testament, man. Like you know, we talked. You were like, I thought you were going to go off on that tag match, which I did at the end. And I created a group, and I put those guys in it, and I threw everything I had at those guys in that group. We did it professionally outside of there. We gave them some shit at dinner when we were
Right.
sitting there, eating some
I
pizza.
was I was gonna say, I say you say the word some shit. I think that's an understatement, extreme understatement, because I feel like the entire pizza dinner was revolved around that tag match or the singles match that had a guy standing on the apron. So
Well, the
go
entire
ahead.
ride home was as well to country music. I think what's that song? Strawberry wine. And I was singing about not tagging in 5 minutes. And those guys, we created the group. I even called the group the World Tag Team Championships. And it had your smart ass comment on the YouTube video, which got a lot of laugh emojis underneath it, which they were very, took it well. And then we showed up at class on Monday after we showed up at class the very next day, and we went right to work. They took their ass chewing, and they went to work on this. And we come back a week later, and my God, did these guys kill it? I mean, there was a point they came in, did a double team move. Buck stepped out of the ring and tagged himself back in. Like there was like 3 tags in 20 minutes. 20 seconds. And I was like, holy shit. And I went back there and I said, guys, unbelievable. You're never going to not get, you're never going to hear me complain over too many tags. It's fucking tag team. I'm never going to complain. If you keep the guy on your half of the ring, whatever, and you make too many tags, I'm never going to complain. And one thing was Sin. These guys completely murder it, man. It's their hometown debut, Buck and Bay. Hey, shout out to them. Shout out to Manny Roa for helping them out there. Christian Sky, Brandon Nash, and Annabelle, the Unwanted. Beautiful, beautiful thing, man. Everything worked on all cylinders. And Sky, man, that guy is in some next level shit. People don't even realize that about this guy. Like, he heard the crowd and called this spot, but Sin was backstage and he's like, let's fade these guys when they get back and act like they did a shitty job. And he's like, and I'm like, why? Why are we going to do this? And he's like, F you, Zack, let's just do this. And he got the whole locker room behind it. And I'm totally against it because I'm like, these guys just killed it, man. I'm so proud of these guys. He's like, it'll be funny. And I'm like, and then they came back and, they gave them some shit. And then everyone clapped and went. And I'm like, man, I would have just rather clapped and celebrated with these guys, man. But, there was another thing that happened. I'm not going to mention who, but when the Unwanted came out, the guy shut the lights off, right? And for their entrance, and they got on stage, and I'm like, all right, flip the fucking lights on. And the next thing I know, the whole entrance, the lights are off. So I tell another guy standing in the back who's not wrestling, I say, why the fuck are those lights still off? And he goes, oh, this guy turned them off. And I'm looking in the monitor and I see the asshole over there. And it almost looked like he just like kind of, slipped his back. That's what Sparky was saying. Sparky just left, slipped his back down. And I go tell that asshole to turn those lights on. And then I told the guy later when I seen him, I said, hey, man, why did you keep the lights off for the entire entrance? He goes, well, I wasn't aware of when we were supposed to flip them back on. And I said, well, you've watched these guys' entrance for about 6 months now, and you haven't figured it out. I said, you've seen us do this for 6 months, so it's your turn to do it, and you don't know when to flip them back on. I said, Doc's going to have a hell of a time editing this stuff. And his thing was, I didn't know when. Well, then why the fuck did you turn them off? You know what I mean? Like little things like that in the show. We talk about what we ask these guys for. So, guys, if I'm paying you 100 to 150 bucks, whether I'm going to pay you that, whether I've asked you to wrestle or stand in the middle of the ring and cut a promo. You're going to either have the easy night or you're going to work a little harder. Either way, I'm going to pay you the same. So if I'm paying you $150 to come out to the ring and spit mist in somebody's eyes or grab their leg or just stand across from them and cut a promo, you better cut the best fucking promo you've ever cut in your life. You better grab and trip up the greatest leg you've ever tripped up in your life, man. So, yeah, just little things like that. There's but the vibe was good, man. The vibe was good in the locker room. Everything was, everybody knew what they were doing. Everybody had such a good time. And when you have nights like that and you realize, man, you know, just a great locker room, a lot of positivity, and giving these guys the freedom to do some things where everything is organized and everyone's just, okay, now let's just have fun. So organizing a show and having everybody on the same page from the time they all get there at the same time to the time the show ends is a beautiful thing, Paul.
Right. Well, and I think sometimes we get too caught up in things going wrong and we don't focus on the things that go right. And I mean, as you're saying about how, great locker room and things like that, I remember you mentioning that about a show that we had a few months back, and just going, hey, there's a lot of really good guys in there, and they're working hard to do what they're supposed to be doing, and so that's always a huge positive when you surround yourself with good people that are like-minded, and they want to get the same results that you're looking for, right? They see your vision, and they're going to go out there and try to execute that. That's I think that's priceless. That's a huge help to what you're trying to accomplish. And we've talked so much about trying to grow your brand and how do you expand and all this stuff. So that's always nice when you have that in your locker room. And then I'm starting to realize surrounding yourself with those people just in life is a huge blessing as well. So we talk about our buddy from Yarrington, who's very gung ho and likes to help out. So it's just this dude just came back from Hawaii, right? Was at training on Wednesday and just asking questions about who can I go talk to, who can we do a show with, just like, I don't know, man. He was just like out of vacation mode in 2 seconds, enjoyed himself with his family. And then he's just like coming back to work, right?
He
What
was
can I
here.
do?
He was here.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. This dude is like nonstop, bronze god now, right? He's like, I said, oh, you got some sun, huh? And he's like, oh, yeah, every day, all day. I was like, I can
We had a
see
great
that.
we had a great
Oh,
conversation because I quit smoking and he was
right.
smoking for years. And I was like, man,
Oh, dude.
I'm bored. I feel like I can have one. And he's like, oh no, motherfucker. He goes, no, that's not how this works. He's like, do you think you could just have a drink right now? And I go, well, of course I could just have a drink right now. I could do whatever the fuck I want to do, Larry. You know what I mean? But Larry was just, he's like, I'll be there next week at Manny's church for the show. And he was asking me some questions. And I just realized, like you're saying, you just see a guy like this, you're like, man, what a great guy to be around, man. And he's a guy that you actually like, maybe we should start listening to this dude,
I think that there's no maybes involved in that sentence. That is, we should absolutely listen to this guy. I rode with him to and from your show one weekend, and it was like, you know, it's back to the starting in pro wrestling where it's like you just sit there and you keep your mouth shut and you just listen to this guy, preach his knowledge, and you try to get as much as you can from it. In this sense, it's business stuff, right? Hey, I ran this business for this many years, and he's telling me all the successes that he had and the failures that he had to go through to get those successes. And it's just like, man, this guy is just a wealth of knowledge where you just got to try to pick some of that out of there, try to pick his brain and ask questions and hey, what do you think we should do here? Because if we've talked a bunch of times, and you've kind of been riding me a little bit about running the same town, right? I don't know, man. I don't know about this running the same town all the time. You gotta get some variety, and obviously for me, it's just like you have your things that you've been doing, right? It's like, oh, this has been working, but could it be working better? And the answer, I think, is always yes. Yes, this could be working better. And I don't know, like I feel like I'm getting I don't know if it's more motivated, but it is definitely more like um as if I don't hold myself accountable enough. I'm like, okay, last night I went and helped my daughter out across town, and I was like, well, fuck, man, I'm already across town. I'm gonna go hang up some posters while I'm over here on this side of town. So just so happened I had all my posters in my truck, and I'm like uh, trying to get myself prepared.
Just so
Uh,
happened
just so
I
happened to be
just so
driving.
happened to have
Right,
my promotional product on me for luckily it was in my vehicle and ready to go. Like,
that's
I
it, man.
carry around a fucking backpack, bro. I got a I got different points in different vehicles, and it's all full of the product. Yeah. Yeah,
There it
get
is.
to the backpack. Marcus Mack uh used to tell me, he's like, Why do you always have that backpack?" And I'm like, well, because I got my shit in this backpack. I got my tickets in this backpack. I got my flyers in this backpack, my waiver of liabilities, my poster, tape. I got a stapler. I got a staple fucking gun, dude. I got thumbtacks. I got everything you can think of. Oh, and by the way, you need some ibuprofen? You want to rub some Bengay or some icy hot on that shit? Pop a vitamin C pill to get your vitamins for the day. You name it, it's in my damn backpack. You want some lube, bro? I got some good stuff in this backpack right here for you. I got everything you need in this backpack. Oh, illegal narcotics? Sorry, man. Oh, you want some fentanyl? That ain't me, bro. I don't got no fentanyl in this backpack. Meth? Nah, not in here. Weed? Nah. Maybe back in the day, some alcohol. Up till 7 days ago, probably had a couple packs of Marlboro Red Shorts that you could have just turned this little lucky over. Yeah, carry that damn backpack. Mac was like, "Well, you always got your backpack." I'm like, "Cause I'm a fucking promoter, dude. That's why I
Right,
got the backpack." I just thought it was funny. You were like, "Just happened to have my flyers and posters on me when I was Yeah, you better, motherfucker.
right. Well,
They
because that's not always me, man. That's not like it's becoming a routine now. Kind of, as I'm learning, I guess, on how this needs to happen. So, yeah, flyers and tickets, and it's like, all right, man. And then so now I'm thinking about, like, you test the social media. It's like, hey, I'm gonna put this flyer up right here, and I'm gonna take a photo of it, and I'm gonna put 2 tickets underneath the flyer, and then see if somebody comes and gets them. Right? See if your social media is coming, and you
that's
mark those
lazy.
and you mark those tickets too, and you see if the social media is working because somebody comes to the door with those
I mean, it
tickets that are
does.
marked.
It does, but it's lazy. Like, if you think that you're just gonna put a sponsor ad up on Instagram or Facebook, or you're just gonna shit on social media and keep sharing it. Not saying it doesn't work, not saying it doesn't branch out there. But I can walk
Right,
in there a few times. I can walk, not just your show, I can walk into anybody's show. SPW, Next Level, East Bay Pro. It doesn't take me very long to see what you're doing. I've been doing this 26 years.
right,
I can see your schedule. I can see what shows you're paying for. I can see how many you're running. I can look at your audience. I can look at what your setup and what you got. And I can break your entire company down in seconds. Seconds. And I can go, oh, these motherfuckers don't promote. You know what I mean? Or like when I tell you, hey, man, take a little breather from this town because it's not drawing and you're consistently running in it. So that's not good for it. You gotta let these towns breathe a little bit. And that's what I realized last night. And a lot of people were telling me, they're like, man, Red Bluff is completely different than Oroville. but both towns are drawing real well, and they're drawing well from the town. Like the big fair was in Red Bluff yesterday. It was Saturday night, the big fair. We laid out 350 chairs, okay? When we got to the building, there was 250 laid out. We laid out the other 100. We filled up the chairs. At one point, they were all filled and people were standing. So we did, anywhere from 375 to 400 last night. I haven't checked the ticket count, the official counter yet, but you're like, dude, this is a town of 15,000 people population. So you're like getting 400 or 500 people in that small of a place is amazing, right?
Right.
But now you say the town, the actual fair at the Tehama County Fairgrounds where we were running the show. My dad called me and he's like, "Hey, where's the damn show at?" And I'm like, "It's at the Red Bluff Community Center." And he's like, "Oh," I'm like, "Are you at the fair?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm at the fair right now." So the fair's going on. And then you look at some of these promotions, I was talking to Spark about it, and it's like these guys are in the Bay Area, Sacramento, all this, they're drawing from a million
Right.
of people, and they're only getting 400 or 500.
Right.
Bigger payroll, all this. So it's like it's a funner crowd to wrestle in front of because they're real wrestling fans. They're not guys that are sitting on the internet and rambling back and forth with you all day going, "Oh, well, to this show, I went to that show, I went to this show, and this guy, I love him here." It's like, nah, man, these are real wrestling fans. You're probably not going to talk to these guys much unless they send you a private message to your thing. So, yeah, man, get on it, dude. Get on it. This turned into a promotional thing. But one thing I wanted to talk to you about, man, was last night. There was some real good stuff, but I love the fact that you can take all these devices, man. You can take all this stuff with these guys and you can say, "Look at this, man, this team that we got." The way they show up, like I said, I had Sparky. Sparky came down, rode with me. Great ride. Stayed last night, left this morning, and Sparky was in for the haul. Sparky was helping set up the ring. You know what I mean? Break the trailer down, set up the ring. These guys got a crash course in how to do ring crew from. I have my way, and my way is just right there with Sparky. But they got a master of ceremonies, Sparky Ballard's over here, who's one of the biggest ring rental guys around, and he's showing the guys, grabbing the metal and showing the guys how to do this shit the proper way too. So, I mean, there's so much of an education you get, and it all starts with loading that fucking ring in the building.
Exactly. And I think what I find amusing is people go, "Hey, how about I trade you some ring crew for you training me?" And I was like, "Oh, you don't understand. Um, that's a part of paying your dues. It's not a monetary thing. Paying your dues is doing this work. It's like you're a wrestler, so now this is part of your training, right? The ring crew, that's part of your job, right? So it's not something that's got some sort of barter value. This is a non-negotiable. This is your training to be a wrestler, so you're also part of the ring crew, right? Consider that you're coming to class that day and we're training you on how to set up a wrestling ring, because if you're not willing to do that part, a lot of promoters are probably not willing to book you, because it starts with that humbleness of do whatever it takes to help the show succeed. And setting up and breaking down the ring is a huge part of that, because um, you know in few cases there's the wrestling promotions that run without a ring, the off brand to try to make something a little bit different. But in 99.9% of the promotions, there's a wrestling ring involved, and it needs to be set up, and it needs to be set up the right way, right? And it just, as I'm talking, I'm remembering like going to different promotions and seeing a ring and watching guys clumsily try to figure out how to set it up, and I'm just like, I'm like, hey, get the fuck out of the way. I'll show you how to do this, and you better pay attention because I'm not going to be here the next time, right? This person brought me in to work on this show, and it's just this invaluable skill that we're giving these people to be able to do this. And eventually you're going to walk into a building and you're going to have just a bunch of shit dicks trying to put a ring together, and you're going to have to step in and go, hey bud, this is this is how we have to do this. And I just remember like the guys trying to explain to me it's color coded because that's how we loaded into the trailer. And I was like, no, it's color coded because the two sides come to that color post or something like that. It's like, come on, guys. Like it looked, I mean, I guess for me, it's like you set up so many rings that it's now common sense, but it's like, come on, guys, what are we talking about? Your logic is flawed here.
Hey, it's me, Funky. Hey, Funky, get the fuck out there and help break down that ring. I ain't never broke down a ring in my life, but I got my gloves on, baby. And you're like, dude, get the fuck out there and unload the ring. You know what I mean? The ring announcer last night, great job. Kid did a great job. Killed it, man. Smash those subscribe buttons. That was my favorite part. I had him do it. I said, hey, everybody, pull your phones out. Open up your phone app. Hit that. All right, go to that YouTube app. Go to Going Over Podcasts. Now, in 3, 2, 1, smash that subscribe button. I was like, fuck, why weren't we doing this whole time? But he killed it, right? And then after the show, he goes, oh shit, got a show next weekend? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, oh, I didn't even know, man. And he's like, am I ring announcing? I'm like, yeah, dipshit. You're the ring announcer now. So go look at the fucking schedule and everything we're doing. Now you're ring announcing because that's the job you asked for. That's the job I trained you for. Now, until you wrestle, that's what you're doing. So whatever you have going on, if you want, and we talk about the ring crew, we talk about everything, we talk about the team. Guys, keep doing it. Don't miss a show. If you're a young wrestler like this kid is, Andrew Pogson, 20 years old from Reading. He just got a new apartment in Chico and he switched to Butte. He just showed me his new apartment, right? Going to college, and he moved closer so he could make Thursday and Sunday classes, man. So and he took this ring announcing serious, and now a wrestler can wrestle on the show because this guy has taken his place. So now you're like, fuck, we actually need to find a couple ring announcers, and yeah, So you know what? This will be the first on a podcast because yeah. Okay. Someone was messaging me about class today. The Red Bluff crew had canceled. So I kind of knew that after last night when I stopped in to drink a couple cups of coffee and took off early and got home. And then I got another guy messaging me in. So it's the day after a show. Some people are booked on a Sunday. Some people we're not going to make it. Babysitter, butthole hurts. I don't know. We're tired. Maybe we drank too much. There's a lot that goes on after a show, man. And I don't, it's a rough night. It's a rough night. But I always say, hey, here I am. I had to drive this ring and everything all the way from Red Bluff back home. I didn't get home till 2:00 in the morning. I literally slept 2 hours. You messaged me and I'm like, fuck, I hope we can do this podcast this morning. before I
Right.
can train, because if I don't, I'm going to go train, and then I'm going to have to unload the fucking ring and everything in the storage, and then I'm going to have to come home and do a podcast so we can get this thing we're obligated to that we want to do up on Monday. So I mean, we're halfway home right here, and it's like, man, we're tired. We're tired, and I know you go through a lot of work, man. And if anybody deserves to be successful, man. That's why, you know, no homo, all homo, whatever you want to say. When I say mi casa es su casa, when me and you came together to do this, and I have my team, and my team is down here at your expense, it's we are here for you, man. We're here for you to help you get to where you need to go, and I'm here to help you get where you need to go because you got this thing going on in Reno, man. And that's the problem. Everybody talks about like, oh, I'm here to help. But that's not what happens, man. I'm sitting here with Sparky this weekend. I go up there, you know, you went to Vegas, me and Bad News went up there and we coached a couple of the guys, a nice little trip to Reno and back. We're always, man, I hadn't been to Reno honestly until I started going up to your shows. I haven't been to Reno in fuck what, 10 years, maybe five, twice in 10 years. I'm there 2 to 3 times a month now, man. I was like, Reno's just a hop, skip, and a jump away from me, man. And we got this area over here. What's the next show called, Paul? What's your next show
Oh, it
coming
is
up?
Mayday Mayhem.
Mayday
Yep.
Mayhem.
That's
I'm
right,
gonna,
man. On the 17th. It's just 2 short weeks away here,
I
you
know,
know. So
I know.
yeah, so we got I saw that old Travis Alexander. He's getting some bigger opportunities, man. We've talked about this in the past as well. It's like we do what we do. We try to help people out. We give them constructive criticism, advice. You know, all these different things. We like to try to make these people better. And Travis Alexander, man, another opportunity for him. You know, going to an NWA event the night of our show. So, you know, it sucks when someone tells you like, hey, uh, you know, your promotion isn't the most important, right? I got a better opportunity than I have with your promotion, and it's like it hurts you a little bit. We're like, okay, well, if what I was doing was at a higher level, you know, then maybe someone would pass up something to come here, and that's what you want to get to. You want to get to that point where people are like, "Oh, I have a better opportunity up in Reno to wrestle there because they got something great going on." But you also have to be realistic and go, "Okay, well, you know, NWA." You know what they're doing, especially that Crockett Cup is where he's going in Philadelphia. So, you know, it's like you can't fault a guy for going out and getting that. So it's just
Yeah.
difficult because you kind of set things up and you want
Well,
to have things go a certain way.
I just saw it a couple you know, someone that I worked with and someone that you guys worked with, which I've worked with as well, have just been released by the World Wrestling Entertainment. Carl Fredericks, aka Eddie Thorp, is back on the market, and Shotsy Blackheart, I used to call her Shotsy Dog Fart, is back on the market, ladies and gentlemen. Coming on back. Shotsy came out of Stoner U. You know, the funny thing is, I was talking to Spark today, man. Like, you always hear these interesting things as we're talking about it. I didn't realize before my godfather, Roland Alexander, passed away that Shotsy had paid in full to train at All Pro Wrestling. You know what I mean? So it's like you always hear the different scenarios of the guys that went through there. Like APW had a big stranglehold on professional wrestling back in the day, And you look at companies like Pro Championship Wrestling, you look at Supreme Pro Wrestling. We made you guys the ring. Me and my dad did. So Coastal Pro Wrestling that was the original promotion, CPW in Reno with Brian Briger and Adam Thornstowe, Luster the Legend. So you always look at all these piggybacks, and me and Sparky were talking about how it was the show in Santa Maria that Gabe Ramirez ended up breaking away from Roland Alexander, and we were all part of that. We were all part of that divorce package between Gabe and Roland's wrestling marriage coming to an end and being divorced, and Revolution started. And we get so tied in and so close, and it's like, man, is Carl Fredericks coming back to Reno? Is that someone that you can bring into the Reno Wrestle Factory, bring over to training, maybe boost some students up and get some attendance? That Eddie Thorp returns home, man. Shotsy Blackheart's back in town. So these are a couple locals that came through the local product that were wrestling at the top level that are now released. Even if a AEW picks them up, they're still going to be available, and they're going to come home. They're going to be around. They're going to take some bookings. We know Will Hobbs is local. Brian Cage comes back to Chico every now and then. Thunder Rosa still has her roots here. So there's a lot of local talent that you can get on your show. Is that local talent willing to come back and give back to the area? You know what I mean? But a
Right,
lot of
and you would
releases.
right. Well, and you would hope so. Like I remember back in the day, um, seeing like the Dudleys and uh, what they did for ECW, even after uh, they got an opportunity with WWF or WWE, whatever it was called at the time, and thinking that about like if I ever like I don't know, like I always had high aspirations, like I'm gonna get signed. So but I'm gonna do that. It's like, you get trained by somebody, like Brian was the guy that trained me, and I was like, if I get an opportunity at a bigger promotion, I'm still gonna come back and work here in Reno because you have that loyalty, right? You somebody taught you how to do this. They gave you the ability to make a living at doing this job. So I always felt a sense of loyalty about that. And I was actually just talking to my students on yesterday, on Saturday. So just about how the relationship that I have with Big Ugly. It's like we have this. I don't know, like he talks very highly about our friendship and things like that, and I said it kind of was it's rooted by him being the first guy to kind of give me an opportunity on a promotion, on a platform to go out and wrestle outside of anything that we were doing here in Reno. So there's a sense of loyalty based off of that, where you go, hey, this is the guy that gave me my first opportunity. If he ever needs a favor, I'm willing to do that. So I think that's I don't know. That's just a mindset for me, or I mean, I know a lot of people are like that, right? They're gonna go back and help the people that help them. They say it's not a handout; it's a hand up. So I don't know, man. It's an HJ over the. It could be an over the pants rub and tug. Who knows? So yeah, so I think that those things are important, and if you can kind of, I don't want to say repay. Like I don't feel like Carl Fredericks owes me anything or owes us our city anything, but I know that he's passionate about his his local roots here, and he's from a town just 100 miles or so from here, and played small town sports, and then came to the university up here, and definitely I've talked in the past about this. This dude had a plan of what he was going to do. Right, he was going to go to the Lance Storm Wrestling School and stumbled across our promotion, and I kind of gave him that the idea, right? Hey, come train with us. I almost guarantee, just based off of your physical gifts, you're an athlete. You understand this. You watch wrestling. You have a plan of how you're going to get into the wrestling business. I think this is a stepping stone that you can use, and almost a guarantee. Like by the time you would have gotten enrolled in Lance Storm School, you're probably going to be getting dark match opportunities. Anyway. So why not get started right now? And then, regardless, in whatever it was, I don't remember what the length of time he had to wait for the waiting list to get into that school, but let's just say it was 12 months. It's like, oh, in 12 months, if you're not where you want to be as far as being on the map, being on the radar for WWE, then you go do your obligation and train with Lance Storm. But luckily, he got the training that he needed. He got on the road. You talked about how Adam is very much the kind of finisher, the polisher type of thing. Like, get on the road and I'm going to watch you wrestle and I'm going to give you the feedback that you need, man. And make you better. So I think that's it was a team effort of the guys here in Reno, whether it was getting him trained in the ring locally or getting on the road and coaching him on the road. We talk about those road trips, how important it is, man. You just sit in the car and you talk about wrestling, man. How do we do this better? How do we get really good at this? And and Carl Fredericks just happens to be that type of guy that was always ears open, looking to what can I do to improve. So that's great, man. And hopefully he wants to come back and do some stuff. But like I said, the guy owes us nothing. But it would be awesome to have him back, in the mix here, showing if it's at the training school, if it's at a show, whatever it is. And I know he loves to give back to his town. So that I've already extended the offer of, hey, if you want to go back and run a show in your town, let me know.
You know what is like WWE does it a lot too, man. They got these guys under contract, whether it's NXT, SmackDown, Raw, whatever the fuck it is, and they gave him a chance. You know what I mean? They pushed him right up there with Trick Williams and a lot of those guys in the main event. They gave him specialty matches. They threw him in the main event spot. They're like, man, we got this guy apparently, and we threw him in the main event spotlight. And you watch some of the performances, and you're like, that's cool. He's there. He's they're finally giving him a push, and then he's released. So
Right.
a lot of these guys, man, they linger around a while. Like I said, Shotsy hadn't wrestled since fucking February, so they linger around a while. And some of them, what was his name? The Fandango, man. Like, he worked for WWE for something like 15 years, and he was only on TV for like a year of it. So this guy's been getting paid by the company, and they've kept him on the roster doing something for 15 years. So, I mean, guys mill around, and then they get these opportunities. And it's such a fast world, man. It's such a fast-paced thing. Like I said, last week, these guys were, down on themselves, and I was down on them over a tag match, and we went right back to work the next day. And then here we are a week later, and it's a completely different vibe and a completely different feeling and confidence. Like, one weekend, you're like, I'm going to quit. This sucks. And then you stick to your guns and work hard. And the next weekend, you're like, this is the greatest moment of my entire life. And like, I feel for those guys, man. I feel for those guys, because you get out of touch when you do things like that. Like, some guys are here and they're like, okay, if I don't make it by a certain age, I'm out of the business, because I'm here to make this money. This is a business to me, and I don't love this as much. I was listening to Soul Ruka. Oh yeah, Soul Ruka, baby. I was listening to her on we talked to Bully Ray, and it was actually quite an interesting video, because she was talking about, she knew nothing about wrestling. She didn't even know it existed. There was like somebody from the Oregon State or something that like kind of vouched for her, and she thought it was MMA when they first, she didn't know nothing about wrestling, and she came in and she cut a promo, and it was a terrible promo, but they were talking about her and another basketball player had to cut a promo. They came in on the first day of the tryouts, and it was promo day. And there was an independent wrestling girl who'd been doing it for years, right? And she had the gimmick and everything and cut the promo. And they're like, she's like, oh shit, what am I going to do? I'm not prepared for this. And then she said she smoked the cardio and the drills and the rolls because she's a fucking gymnast, right? And then next thing you know, they give her a call back and they say, hey, you know, how would you like a contract? You know what I mean? We want to train you. We want to get you on a contract. And they were talking about the it factor, right? And what is the it factor? We could do a whole podcast on this, but I thought it was very interesting because we mentioned it before. And it's like, what is the it factor? Being a 7 foot tall professional basketball player who's in shape, that can work, can go over the top rope and really perform. It factor, you know what I mean? Being a smoking hot girl with curves and big breasts and athletic and gorgeous that can get in the ring and go. It factor, you know what I mean? Sometimes you get a double bonus, man. Bret Hart would always talk about it like, you know, can you work? Can you wrestle? Can you talk? Do you got the look? Can you do the inner? You know, all these things like you rate wrestlers out of. And some guys only need one. Sometimes you only need the body. Sometimes you only need the look. Sometimes you only need the athleticism. Sometimes you need a good memory. And we get into this and you start to realize, like, you know, you get signed and you're there, but you didn't do anything while you were there to stand out. And then you get an opportunity, and it's kind of like, we're going to give you this opportunity, but are you going to knock it out of the park, or is it too late on this? You know what I mean? Have you been sitting around comfortably? And I think a lot of these guys, even in the indie scene, they get comfortable. And you were talking about Aiden Andrews, you know, young kid, and he just hit that ring in that rumble. He was in a rumble for 3 minutes, and he caught your eye and a lot of other guys' eyes because he came in and there was conviction and seriousness behind what he was doing, and that looked completely different than the other fucking 19 guys that were in that damn thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and you know, and on that subject, this is a kid that I had never met before, and you know, came up to me, and we probably had a 15-minute conversation before the show started. You know, uh, just about pro wrestling. You know, like, and I was just talking to him about like, you know, hey, I know it's a small opportunity, right? It's just a rumble. It's not a match. Some people frown upon that, right? They would rather be somewhere where they're going to get to wrestle a match, right? They're going to get to do their 10 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you come into a rumble and it's like, but my whole point was we're trying to give you an opportunity to get seen in front of this crowd and see how the crowd reacts to you. See what you can do to emote some reaction from these people. And it was crazy that it was like across the board that everyone said, hey, did you see that guy? And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I saw that guy. Just looked vicious, looked like he was out there trying to win. And it's like, how many times do we say that? It's like, hey, cover the guy, right? The whole point of this wrestling thing is trying to pin another guy's shoulders to the mat, right? And it's like the whole point of this rumble thing is that you're trying to win because of what the stakes are, right? Everyone wants to be the champion, and an easy way to leapfrog to the top of the list is to win this rumble. So if you go out there and you're just going through the motions, it doesn't catch anyone's eye, right? You're just going through the motions. You're just doing the pro wrestling stuff. But if you go out there and it looks like you are on a mission to try to win, right? You're trying to throw people over. You're trying to soften people up so they can get thrown out and all this different stuff. Then all of a sudden you're like, wow, this guy is trying to win, uh, which is the goal. So I think it's those things, man. And like I said, man, I had this great conversation, and he was just like, I'm just looking for an opportunity. I want to get, to other places and get exposure from other promotions, get feedback from other people. So just, and I didn't realize, you said he was a young guy, so I didn't realize how young
Mhm.
he was. But it just, to me, it's like the thirst for knowledge. Like, hey, I'm here looking for an opportunity. So I don't know. It was just one of those cool things. Doesn't happen that often.
He was on the prospect shows. He was the one I was telling you about.
Well, I know you
I was
were
telling
telling
you
me
about
about
the
him, but
big
I had never, yeah, I
southpaw.
had never seen him. Yeah,
Yeah, in like 1920. I think he's 1920.
right.
But like he was cutting the promo and he had that ha 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 ha. He had the laugh, and I'm like, extenuate that laugh. Like his partner Kuza, good look, another young kid, but he had a different dynamic. And not saying he was bad or anything. He's a bright future down the road. But this kid hits hard. He's bigger. He reminds me of like a little bit of Arn Anderson, to be honest with
Right.
you, because Arn Anderson was a southpaw, and Arn Anderson threw them spine busters and assault. That's why he was the enforcer. So, like, I look at this kid like he's an enforcer. He's somebody you can bring into your show. Like, you could honestly throw that kid out there with Bad News Blakesley or Sin or a bigger guy, and he would take it to him. And he's big enough and young enough. Like, I think the kid's like 6', 6'1", and he's 230, 240, and he's athletic and he's young and he's got intent on him. Yeah, I was telling you about that kid because he was at the prospect show. I really saw something in the promo with him, and you know they do the tag team thing, but like then you see him go out there by himself, and we did a couple one-on-ones with him too, and they had a good little tag match. But like that kid right there, there was some kids I saw at prospects like Travis Alexander and Cairo Leone. There was just a few kids, and there was some other. I saw a lot of talent come through, man. That was the cool part about it. When you see all this young talent coming through, you would have loved those shows, man, because you're working with all these young guys in the locker room, and you're like 9 matches in an hour and a half. So you're like, that's what I did last night. Was everybody except the main event go home in 5 minutes. And it don't mean your match you could wrestle 15-minute match. Just start heading in that general direction. And the pace of the show and everything just nothing seemed too long, nothing drug on. Everything happened the way it was supposed to happen. So yeah, you take these young kids, man, and you get them under your wing. I watch a lot of guys, like a lot of people don't realize it when they're coming down there. I don't think a lot of people realize who you are, and they don't realize how fucking big you are. So you're giving people a different dynamic when you're coaching them that a lot of people can't give. Like I've been doing it long enough and doing it against guys like you that I can give a perspective on how to wrestle somebody like you, but you're giving guys this dynamic like, hey, I can show you how to wrestle like a big guy, but I can't show them how to wrestle like a big guy like you can. And catch 22. You can't get in there and move around with some of these kids like a guy like I can because you're a big guy. So it's just so many dynamics, man. Like you offer so much to these guys. And the crazy part is you're not just one of those, because like I listen to Ace talk. And if you listen to Alex Ace talk, you go, he's smart. He's smart to the business. But then he gets in the ring and you go, oh, motherfucker couldn't execute if there was a gun on his head to save his life. You know what I mean? And that's no knock, but it's like the work part of this is what's hard. And Ace is athletic and he's got an amazing look, man. And he talks well, like he gets it. But execution's so hard. You're one of the big guys that have proven over these years, man, that you not only know what you're fucking talking about, but you can execute, man. So tell us a little bit on a big guy perspective, man, to close us out here, because we're almost to the 5 minute mark, which you better say too. We're almost at that point. Tell us, as a big man, what is something you would tell an Alex Ace, a Bad News Blakesley? What would you tell some of these bigger guys coming up in the business? Give them some advice that would actually help them execute better as a big man.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's a lot of the time it comes down to the the believability, right? Because in most cases, as a big guy, it's the believability is that you're not going to be able to be taken off your feet. So you have to figure out a way to do that. So, as we're going here, where we've got 5 minutes left of this podcast, just 5 minutes left. You have to figure out those things, right? In most cases, I'm going to be overpowering someone, probably on the offensive the majority of the time, but there's got to be those you have to have a chink in the armor at some point, right? You have to have some way for someone to gain an advantage. And in a lot of cases, it might be like that you're going to miss something, right? You're on the offensive and you're going to miss something because you're a little bit more big and lumbery, where someone's going to be able to get out of the way. So finding a way that someone can take advantage of a weakness that you have, even though in theory people think, oh well, he's a big dude, like, and we've talked about it in the past, like, how do I work with this guy? How can I do moves on this guy? And most of the time it doesn't have to be like that, right? You can put yourself in a scenario where the guy moves out of the way, you do something, you take a chance, right? We talk about going to the top rope a lot of times for the smaller guys, being like the high rent district and the the risk factor being elevated at that point. So I think that's what we need to start thinking about, like, how do we take a little bit more risk where someone can avoid that, right? Because we're going to be slower to do that thing where it's going to be a big risk. So for me, it's like I just think about missing a move or something along those lines where someone is going to be able to, we talk about chopping the big guy down. You like to go kind of top down, where a lot of people go, oh, I'm going to attack the leg, right? And I think, like, if you use the tree analogy, it's like it's going to be a lot easier and cause a lot less destruction if you disassemble a tree from the top, right? Start cutting those branches off. Then you can kind of see what I've got to work with, and then finally I get to, maybe chopping the tree in half, letting the top half fall, and then I can get the bottom out of there. Versus saying like, oh well, I'm gonna try to dig the roots out of this tree, and the roots might spread all over the place. So sometimes you think about, like, I'm going to chop the tree down, kicking out the leg or whatever. I'm going to work on the leg so the guy can't walk or whatever. But I think we've done a lot of things where I'm going to try to choke slam someone. So if someone can disable the right arm, the choke slam arm, that's another great strategy to try to chop me down. So I think you have to find those weaknesses. Go ahead.
Oh, then you use your left hand and you don't get the pin. You know what I mean?
Right,
Because you
because
hit him with a
it's
different.
not the powerful
Yeah.
one. Right, it's the same move, but you're not used to it. It's not it's the stranger, right? I'm not used to using this one, right?
Ace has that big left-footed boot,
Right,
and I
and
always
it's
tell him,
unique.
it's
Right,
unique.
right,
Fuck your choke bomb, dude. You have this
right,
unique left-footed boot. You're 7 feet tall. Like, load that thing up all day and stick
right,
with it. I get he can go over the top rope and stuff, but he's trying. He gets himself caught in doing too much sometimes, and it's
right,
like,
right,
at your size, bro, less is more, and it's going to
right,
be easier for everybody to work with you. And then you get these guys that don't know how to fucking work with a guy. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this 7-foot guy? Well, there's a
right,
lot to do with them. Be creative, asshole. You know what I mean? A
right.
lot of good stuff today, man. Oh, real quick, man, I just want to give a shout out to Doc Haywood, to Buck James, to Brandon Johnson, to guys like this that, to the ladies in the snack bar, that run the floor, Alex Angel, Michelle, all the help on the ground. I just want to give a shout out to these people that don't get the shout outs very often, that put in the hard grinding work that keep us going. I want to give a shout out to you for always clicking the StreamYard over to my lazy ass so I can just sit here and just wait and twiddle my thumb. Please, Paul, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Anyway, 15 seconds. What do you got?
Oh, nothing much, man. We got the Mayday Mayhem coming up in 2 weeks. Hopefully that's gonna be a great show. But for you and for me, we're going over.